1,000 Bangladeshis are still trapped. Their government says that it has no plans to evacuate them. The chief prosecutor of the International Criminal Court says that he'll investigate Gaddafi and his supporters for human rights violations. Speaking at The Hague, Luis Moreno Ocampo said that no one had the right to massacre civilians. And it's emerged that forces loyal to Gaddafi captured 3 Dutch Marines in the coastal city of Sirte on Sunday. They'd been involved in rescuing 2 Europeans who've since been handed over to the Dutch embassy in Tripoli. Let's get more now on the situation in eastern Libya. Hoda Abdelhamid joins us now live from Benghazi. Hoda, we'll start with the humanitarian situation at the border with thousands of people still trying to flee.
Absolutely, and I think that as long as the situation remains so unstable and unpredictable, more and more people are fleeing, the bulk of them being Egyptians. There are about 1.5 million Egyptians living in Libya, and those are the ones who are really heading both towards Egypt if they're living in the east, or towards Tunis if they're living in the west. Certainly for them, a very, very difficult trip, a very dangerous trip to reach the border, and once they reach the border, it's, as you said, overpacked. The capabilities there are overstretched. So certainly once they reach the border, they might have some safety, but the ordeal is not finished yet.
What are you hearing from Brega and about the air raids today? Is it any clearer about what was actually targeted there?
Now, from what we understand, it was an air raid that was on the outskirts of Brega, and I can't really give you any more specifics about this because we heard conflicting reports. We do know that Brega at the moment is in the hand of the opposition, even though they admit that the pro-Gaddafi loyalists are not very far, somewhere around 30 to 40 kilometers outside of Brega. The opposition says it has now formed a buffer zone between the town and the Gaddafi forces, but they do say that the town is in their hands at the moment, including the oil refinery.
And what do people there make of what happened at the International Criminal Court today, with the chief prosecutor saying that he'll investigate Gaddafi and his supporters for human rights violations, but also warned the opposition that they would be investigated too if there was evidence that they'd committed crimes?
Certainly, the opposition says we don't have anything to hide, we didn't do any exactions, but the reality is there's a lot of weapons in on both sides. There is a fight going on between both sides, and there are prisoners taken on both sides, and there are killings made on both sides. Now it's a matter of figuring out whether the opposition, whatever it carried out, was in self-defense or was it going against any kind of international law. That is something that the International Court will have to figure out. But people here tell you, hold on, we are the victims, we are the ones who are trying to liberate ourselves, and part of the reason of this uprising is that for 40 years we have suffered massacres and killings and other human rights abuses and violations.
Hoda, many thanks indeed. That's AlJazeera's Hoda Abdelhamid there live in Benghazi. Well, as we mentioned earlier, concerns growing for hundreds of thousands of people who are trying to flee Libya at the moment. AlJazeera's James Bays reports now from the Libyan-Tunisia border, where the humanitarian crisis is also growing.
Arriving in Tunisia, the flow of people fleeing Gaddafi's Libya continues.
Sit down, please. Sit down, sit down, sit down.
More than 95,000 in 10 days. Egyptians, Bangladeshis, Vietnamese and Chinese. However, one UN agency says it's concerned about the nationalities that aren't coming across.
The fact of the matter is that today we're not seeing West Africans, we're not seeing Sub-Saharan Africans coming out of the borders. The information that we are getting from inside Libya is that most of those nationals are terrified. They're living at home, they're hiding, their fear of being victims of xenophobic violence. We're getting emails of people who say they're running out of water, they're running out of food, they're running out of medicine.
Among the thousands of people who've left Libya, we found one group from Ghana. We were told Africans are being forced to fight by Gaddafi's loyalists.
I've even set my eye on some of my brothers in Zawiya. They will catch all of the blacks peoples and they will give you gun. And they will be at the back and they are saying that we should go forward and fight, once we don't even know how to fight.
They were beating us, harassing us, they killed some of them. Plenty people, they've killed some of them in Zaria, Sirte and Benghazi, some of them.
So was it quite terrifying when you came on this long journey to the border?
On the border, on the road, we have about 100 barriers on the road. But the soldiers on the road, all of them, they are thieves.
While conditions here at the border continue to ease, the area of most concern now is those that haven't made it this far. People who, because of the colour of their skin, are in hiding, fearful of both the government and opposition supporters inside Libya. James Bayes, Al Jazeera, on the Tunisian-Libyan border.
Back now to the news that the International Criminal Court has said that Gaddafi will be investigated for crimes against humanity. Al Jazeera's Alan Fisher is live for us in The Hague, where the ICC is looking to bring those war crimes charges against Gaddafi and his associates. Alan, the international community ratcheting up the pressure against the Gaddafi regime.
Well, certainly we saw that from the United Nations Security Council on Sunday night, Monday morning, when they referred the issue of Libya to the ICC. The whole idea, of course, in that is putting pressure on Muammar Gaddafi and his regime. But as far as the ICC is concerned, this is a judicial process. To begin the investigation, there is a lower level of proof required from a UN recommendation. That is just the suspicion that something needs to be investigated. And that's exactly what the ICC and the Chief Prosecutor have now instructed people to do. There's a full judicial inquiry into the events in Libya over the last 2 weeks or so. They believe that there is grounds to suspect that crimes against humanity have been committed. And as far as the Chief Prosecutor is concerned, he's putting those in charge in Libya and also the opposition on notice.
We identify some individuals with de facto or formal authority who have authority on the security forces who allegedly committed the crimes. They are Muammar al-Gaddafi, his inner circle, including some of his sons, who had de facto authority. But also, there are people with some formal authority that should pay attention to the crimes committed by their people.
Alan, given the confused situation on the ground in Libya, how would the ICC investigate such allegations?
Well, they're calling on the good offices of the African Union, the Arab League, a number of countries, and also Interpol as well. I did make that point when I spoke to Mr. Ocampo after the news conference. We had a sit-down interview, and I said it is going to be difficult. How do you do it? And he is convinced that he will be able to carry out a full investigation that will take months, in his words, rather than years. Now, at the end of that process, he will present his evidence to the judges here at the ICC in The Hague. They will go away, they will go over it. They will then decide whether or not arrest warrants have to be issued. And of course, when you hear that Muammar Gaddafi is on warning, you would suspect that his name would be the top